Hello, I am Dashin Bashin, and I am post-commentating over my world record of Benton Protective Earth Southwest 80% for submission in AGDQ 2021. So Ben 10 is a long-running Cartoon Network franchise, started in 2005 and continuing to this very day. And Protective Earth, it's a platforming beat-em-up with a bunch of action, and I'm here to commentate over the full run. Let me just turn down my game audio here. So this is what you're currently seeing is my world record run of 1953. 90 minutes 53 seconds. Southwest 80% is not a full game run. It only covers the first few levels of the game. A full game run will normally take about an hour 20 minutes, an hour 40 maybe. But this run is much more reasonable at anywhere from 19 to 23 minutes. So it's a much more condensed view of what would be a full game run, as we do use a lot of similar tricks that we do in a full game run, like the forward gravity glitch or the accelerate clip. So this game is sort of interesting combat. Its usual beat 'em up mechanics of light, heavy, and special attacks, which when put together sequentially in different orders, creates unique combos for each alien. However, what makes it unique is the little Omnitrix up in the top left corner, which, as you do attacks, slowly goes down, and if that Omnitrix goes out, you're transformed back into Ben, which in combat, you do not want. So, in the run, we smartly transform back to Ben at certain times, and use specific attacks, so we don't lose charge in the middle of the fights. However, in this first level, which you're currently seeing in Grand Canyon, Ben is actually our fastest option. His draw allows him to move pretty quick, so we use it a lot in Grand Canyon, as you can see right this second. Anyway, so this first level is pretty basic gameplay. There's not too much that's different from a casual playthrough. We do a couple of unique skips, but it's not really until next level where we start getting into some of the more interesting glitches. So to go punch these robots here. Okay. Okay, as we come over here, we're going to glide down here, and we just skip to the platforming section, and as we glide up past here, we skip a huge combat sequence. And we're going to transform out of heat blasters around here, because an upcoming section in the level immediately after this fight requires forearms for us to push a rock. And it's faster for us to immediately switch out to forearms for this fight, rather than just waste time fighting this fighter's heat blast, then waiting for the Omnitrix to recharge so we can transform into forearms. So again, as you see here, we're going to push the rock right here. I accidentally pick one up. My bad, and son. But yeah, we're just pushing this forward. I'm gonna jump up here. We don't have to push it all the way, because at that distance, we have just enough height to actually jump up and reach the top. So we're just fighting some enemies here. Punching some robots. And in a moment, you're gonna see I jump off a cliff and get a game over. And that's because, as you can see in the background just here, a robot comes up and lands, and while it causes the rocks next to us to fall, it's in an unskippable cutscene which we can't move during or do anything. So by jumping, we skip all of that and are able to move around and just wait for the rocks to fall so I can move on. And as you see there, we got an upgrade. Now, in a full game run, you'd smartly upgrade, getting heat blast and accelerate. But in Southwest 80%, we don't have to worry too much about upgrades, because it's such a short run, we don't really unlock any of the useful abilities like Armageddon or Body Check until much later. So we jump across here, and we do a little bit more fighting. As you can see, the background's blue, and that's because we're doing it so fast, we actually beat the level loading times. Something I should mention is, this is being played on the PS2 version of the game, just Wii, PSP versions, and PS2 version. Well, there's also the DS version, that's completely different. The PS2 version is normally the slowest, however, by removing the memory card, we're able to make that gap a lot smaller. And now we're heading into the boss fight for the level here against the giant Vilgax robot. It doesn't really have a name. But as you saw, we transformed out of Ben and punched in boxes. And that is because doing that allows us to gain as much charge of the objects as possible, so it can transform into forearms as soon as possible. Because for most of this fight, we do want to be in forearms, as picking up, throwing boulder, it's just faster than most other attacks we have at this point. So we're just throwing rocks against the enemy, and we're doing occasional quick time events, which on the Wii version would be aiming at the screen and doing some shaking of the remotes. But on PS2 and PSP, it's purely just button prompts. And as you can see, we'll just finish up the fight. Got a hint there that wasn't good RNG, but and there we go, that's Grand Canyon, done right there. And in really good time as well too. 6:07 I believe it was. Yeah, 6:07. And we're now on to Mesa Verde. And at the end of this level, we unlock Accelerate, as you see right there. So Accelerate, he's a really fast alien. He's the fastest alien in the game, so we use him for a lot of general movement and stuff, as he is much faster than any other alien in the game. And his combat speed, combat attack wise is a bit lower. He's got some decent attacks, so we use him occasionally during combat as well. But there is one major reason we use him a lot, and it's because of the forward gravity glitch, which we are about to see coming up. So essentially, when there's either Accelerate or Cannonbolt, another alien in the game, if you ground pound, you normally have, look, see you're flying, you normally have diagonal velocity. However, by ground pounding on the edge, a lot of that diagonal velocity is moved a lot more forwards, so it allows us to fly through the air while very, very slowly descending towards the ground. So we often fly throughout the level, skipping huge chunks, and sometimes even going out of bounds. Though of course we do have to make sure we hit certain loading triggers, because if we don't hit the loading triggers, the level breaks essentially, and it does not load. So Mesa Verde is a good introduction to these loading triggers and FTGs. Like see right here, we hit the loading trigger on the right side, because that's the loading trigger for the rest of the level. And as you see, we're now in the land of death. So essentially now it allows us to fly out through the wall and into the next section of the level, where we hit a loading trigger there and go right there. Okay, so we're just punching some bad guys, and there. Yep, punching some bad guys. And as you see, before we just picked up a double attack, an extra attack thing, which increases our attack damage, which we use because there's a couple of fights we have to do here. So we just platform towards the end of the level, do a couple more fights. Yep. As you can see there, I tried to pull off a little bit glitch. I'm not that good at it, and it's not very marathon safe, so I won't be doing it in the actual AGDQ 2021 run. However, because essentially it allows us to skip this fight. However, the death barriers around that zone are really specific, so it's a lot harder to do, so I don't really bother with it too much. So yeah, this is pretty much just fighting enemies at this point. So yeah, we just fought some enemies, and soon we wrap up the level and heading on to Area 51, which I believe is one of the most interesting levels in the game. There are some interesting levels that we do see in a full 90% run, such as Chicago Lakefront or Crater Lake, which are actually back to back. But yeah, Area 51 is a really cool level. We do something really cool with it that I'm excited to show you. So we're just loading into the next level now.
Tell me.
When we skip some more cutscenes, load into the level, and we're immediately going to pull off a clipping into the wall with Accelerate. Because as you see, like right there, Now that role's a little bit different from all the other roles, but I'll describe in clips in general terms. Essentially, by doing Accelerate's double light attack or cranial razor, he zooms forward, and by quickly switching back into another form, such as Ben or Cannonbolt later in the run, we essentially temporarily disable our hitbox so we can pass through almost any solid object. There are a couple of different ones which just allow us to attack, as you saw in the beginning of the level. But yeah.
A champion elite.
And here we have to fight a further champion elite. So we just quickly make work of him, making sure we pick up a couple of these DNA, screen DNA, so we can build up recharge on the Omnitrix. We're not putting it to fire. We just... This didn't work. As you can see, it's not working too well, but we just quickly, hopefully quickly, we just glitched through the door. And that building never explodes. I'm not doing too well here, but it doesn't matter because this was still a world record. I'm much faster than now. So yeah, we just quickly make quick work of these 3 enemies that appear. Doesn't take too long. And now, we're going to carefully move and jump around a bunch of fight triggers so we skip almost every fight in this room. There's still one more fight we have to do, and that's just to hit an invisible loading trigger to load the next section of the level. So we quickly go to the left, fight some enemies, and come back to the right side, allowing us. Okay, now what you're going to see here is perhaps the hardest trick that I'll do in the run. There is an alternative, but I believe this is, but I've got this down pretty well. So as you see here, once we click through the wall, and because we hit the loading trigger, we can just fly past all this other level, which suddenly appears out of nowhere. And if you get it right, you can just go straight down the hole into the end, towards the end of the level. So we just quickly clip through the walls here, hit a loading trigger, and just speed past all these other fights in this hallway. And now, after some quick puzzle solving and platforming by hitting a couple of switches and jumping up some pillars, we hit this. So up here, and through here, and we just transfer back into Banter so we can roll into the elevator. You gotta stand in the middle of the elevator for it to actually work. Anyway, this elevator, it's a long elevator. Pretty much just enemies continuously come in and you have to fight them all off. And but it's really easy to make sure all enemies are cleared out before the end of the elevator. In fact, we have enough time to recharge into forearms for the upcoming boss against Enoch. But let me tell you, he might just be one of the hardest boss fights in all of gaming. It's so very specific and just super duper difficult. I know it's like the second boss in the game, but he really takes a challenge out of you. He might be the Dark Souls of bosses. So we're just flying around, waiting for some time to pass until the next enemies pop up. And they'll be popping up any moment now, I believe. Yep, they're gonna come in. We just punch him in the face a bunch and turn him to mush. This game has a lot of combat in it. Okay, so we just run up here and punch him in the face. And I do get hurt a little bit there, but it doesn't matter because it's the end of the fight, so we can just turn into forearms. For what I once again must remind you, it's just a super difficult fight. It's gonna take a while. We're just climbing up the elevator. The robot's right behind us. And there we are. On top of the elevator. Once it gets to the very top, we load into the boss fight.
Ben Tennyson, I suppose I owe you thanks for exposing the incompetence of my underlings. I'll deal with them when I'm through with you.
Anyway, yeah, he's through with us. So we're going to begin by doing the most difficult boss fight. You ready to see these hardcore strategies? And that's the boss fight. As you can see, really difficult. And yeah, that was a really good time for Area 51. And on to Hoover Dam now, which is the first major boss fight and the only major boss fight of this run. We faced some mini bosses before, but now we're into an actual full-blown boss fight in Southwest. So as you can see, the robot comes up here. We saw him before when we were going up the long elevator.
You Tennysons will never learn. Your alien form, they have hindered me before. But with the technology of this BattleBot, I will smite you!
So yep, he's gonna smite us apparently, but we're not gonna let him because we're just gonna roll down here and quickly switch into forearms. We're gonna just punch this robot or hand a bunch, and soon he'll come down with his other hand, which won't dodge as successfully, but it doesn't matter because he's gonna hit us with this one again, and we can just do this tornado hook into it, which allows us to deal a bunch of damage really fast. So as you see, he's grasped onto this electricity tower, and we're going to use that to our advantage and hit the button so it turns on and electrifies him. And that's the first phase of the boss right there. For the rest of the phases, we do use Heat Blast, however, because he has a ranged attack, which is really fast, doesn't take up much charge, and because of how fast it is, you can deal a bunch of damage in a row. And with some of these new attacks, we know we're going to have to be worried about hiding in that one corner. We can just do this one attack over and over. And as you see, he's about to end the second phase. We just land on the button and bam! There we go. So he's angry now. He normally gains another attack where we shoot out an electric shockwave. However, that doesn't affect us too much. We just continue fighting, attacking this robot, as you can see, and we just gotta land some hits on him, and soon that should be the end of the boss fight. We've just got a couple more hits to go. And we're about to land the last hit, which should give us access to the quick time event. Oh, there we go, see? And now, we just quick time event him to death. And square. Triangle, circle, square. Just like that. And the boss fight is done. Now, in 80%, we'd normally skip the next level. However, Meteor Crater. However, because this is Southwest and it's focused on the area labeled Southwest, we do finish this level, and it's really just like a gauntlet of enemies, and it's the last level of the Southwest one. So once we do this in about a minute and a half, roughly, the run ends. So this one, even if you messed up, can be done in 19 to 23 minutes. It's not super long, and it's a nice short one you can put in anywhere. It's a great introduction to Ben 10, Protector of Earth. Uses a lot of instant tech, as you can see. And we just fight a bunch of enemies. Yeah. Besides, who doesn't love Ben 10, obviously? So we're about to finish up doing here any soon, by the looks of it. We do take quite a bit of damage here. This Meteor Crater wasn't that great, as you can tell, because it current pace is 1946. We did not get 1946, unfortunately. We get 1953. But yeah, we can do really well with this. And we're about to up any moment now. And just hit that, and there we go. That is the end of the run. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching and considering this run for Awesome Games Done Quick 2021. I hope you can accept Ben 10 has a huge community out there that could really get behind this game. It's a classic.
Superheroes don't have to clean
So yeah,
up their messes, dweeb.
thank you for
It's
watching.
one of the perks.
Well, she does have a point, you know.
You never see this in any of the comic books.